Question 78. The heart, pericardium, relations and external features. The heart is contained in the mediastinum, enveloped by pericardium. The pericardium encloses the heart and extends onto the larger vessels. The pericardium consists of a fibrous pericardium, and this is a membranous sac attached to the large vessels. It is connected to the sternum by sternal pericardiac ligaments and fused with the diaphragm, pericardiophrenic ligaments. Its lateral surface is covered with mediastinal pleura. Then we have a serous pericardium, which lines the fibrous pericardium. This is the parietal layer in green. This covers the heart, and it's the epicardium. The serous pericardium is two layers. You have parietal layer lining the fibrous pericardium, and you have a visceral layer lining the heart called epicardium. And the serous pericardium encloses pericardial cavity containing serous pericardial fluid. So the yellow is myocardium, the heart muscle, and then you have endocardium on the inside. The heart is placed obliquely in the mediastinum, level with 2nd to 5th rib. 1/3 is placed on the right median plane and 2/3 on the left. It extends from the parasternal line on the right to the mid-clavicular line on the left. Now the relations of the heart. You have anteriorly, you have thymus, sternum and ribs. Laterally, you have lungs, separated by mediastinal pleura, and also phrenic nerves. These are phrenic nerves. Posteriorly, you have trachea, the bronchi, the esophagus, and the thoracic aorta. You see on this picture, you have the trachea, bronchi, esophagus, and the aorta. And inferiorly you have diaphragm. Now for the external features of the heart. It has an apex and a base where the large vessels enter the heart. It has a sternocostal surface, which is formed by the right atrium and left auricle, and 2/3 of the right ventricle and 1/3 of left ventricle. Then we have the diaphragmatic surface, which is the posterior wall, and it is flat and formed by 2/3 of left ventricle and 1/3 of right ventricle. You have the margins. You have the right margin, which is sharp, and you have the left margin, which is rounded. Margo acutus, margo obtusus. Subdivision of the heart into atria and ventricles is indicated on the surface by coronary sulcus. Here. Anterior and posterior interventricular sulcus separate the ventricles. This is anterior interventricular sulcus. Now we have the large vessels of the heart. You have superior vena cava, and inferior vena cava comes from underneath. And you have coronary sinus, open into the dorsal part of right atrium, so in behind here. You have pulmonary veins, here you have pulmonary vein, and pulmonary trunk, and aorta.